Arun Jaitley మీడియాతో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు లైవ్ లో చూద్దాం.
Like services in the railways in the lowest categories which are exempted. Goods transport, road transport, air transport and air-conditioned railway transport, these have been kept in 5% category, a lower category, because their main input is petroleum products. And since petroleum is outside the GST, those paying service tax will not be able to take the benefit of input credit, so they have been given the lowest rate. The other services have been split up into 12% and 18%. And of course there are a few services which will fall into the 28% category. There are just a few subjects of common interest which I may point out. Restaurants, those with a turnover of 50 lakhs or below, can go in for a composition at 5%. The service tax on non-air-conditioned restaurants will be 12%. On air-conditioned and those with liquor licenses will be 18%, the standard rate. And those which are located in 5-star hotels will have the same service tax as is applicable to the 5-star hotels itself. Similarly, hotels and lodges, those with a tariff of below 1,000 rupees are exempted. From 1,000 rupees to 2,500, it will be 12%. 2,500 to 5,000 will be 18%. And the luxury hotels, the 5-star hotels, above that, will be 28%. Today, if you look at the luxury tax and the service tax payable on them, these have been factored in while fixing these rates. Works contracts currently were, the central tax was 6% and the state taxes ranged from 1% to 5%, 1 or 5. But no input credit was available. And most of the inputs, cement, steel, are taxed at 28% category. So they would pay taxes on the, embedded taxes on the inputs and then pay this 6 plus 1 or 6 plus 5%. Now a uniform rate of GST will be 12%, but with all kinds of input credits. So what is paid into the inputs, particularly cement, steel and other inputs, the entire credit will be available. So effectively, though the rate is 12%, the level of taxation with the input credit will even come down below the present level itself. The list of all the services will be put up on the website. They will be available to you. And most of the work relating to the rollout has been completed. Only a few things remain. That is in the goods category, those 6 categories which had still to be decided. We need a little more time for discussions in the council. The residuary rules will be put up for public comments and they need to be approved. And we will also be looking at a presentation of the state of preparedness of the GST. So we have fixed the 15th meeting at New Delhi on 3rd of June. And hopefully these decisions will be able to take on the 3rd June meeting itself. That's all I had to say. If there are any clarifications and any specifics, Dr. Adia may also.
Around financial services and telecom, it will take to...
They'll all come in the standard rate. The residuary rate is the standard rate.
Which are the services that will fall in 28% slab besides the 5-star hotels?
There are actually 5 categories. One, of course, I've said is the hotel related, gambling related, race club, betting, and cinema, because entertainment tax has been merged with the service tax. So cinema halls today have been charging service tax, which was for the cinema sector, plus the entertainment tax, which varies from state to state. In some states it is 45% and 100%. Also, now that will get merged into the GST. So current rate today is actually much higher if you total the entertainment tax and the service tax.
So betting will be taxed, which means now, I mean, are we recognizing betting?
No. It's a betting tax in the race club.
All cinema tickets will...
देखिए आज भी सर्विस टैक्स लगता है और एंटरटेनमेंट टैक्स लगता है 20-25% से लेकर 100% तक, तो सबको मिलाकर कैप कर दिया गया 28 पे।
सर, गोल्ड एंड प्रेशियस मेटल्स पे भी कोई डिसीजन हुआ है सर?
वो मैंने बताया ना, जो 6 चीजें हैं वो 3 जून को।
So will the tax incidence in services which are taxed at 18%, will that now go up under GST?
You see, if you take the weighted average, then you will have to weigh the large number of exemptions, the 5%, the 12%, the 18%, and the 28%. So if you take the weighted average, we'll eventually take a formulation. So the weighted average will be significantly below that. Plus, keep one fact in mind, that now they will also start getting the input credit of the goods. So if you are paying 12% or 18%, जो goods का आपका input credit है उसमें से deduct होगा, तो actual incidence will come down. No, certainly not. There is no area where it gets increased. तो इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट मिलेगा ना उनको भी।
कस्टमर के लिए तो कोई फायदा नहीं है सर।
नहीं, तो जब दे आर नॉट सपोज टू, अगर इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट डाल के वो 14 या 15 पे आ जाता है या कम आ जाता है।
मेरा सवाल सर ये कि कस्टमर चल 18% फी चार्ज करे।
देखिए जितना टैक्स का उसको बेनिफिट मिलेगा, तो एंटी प्रॉफिटियरिंग क्लॉज किसके लिए है? कस्टमर के लिए ही है। तो यही तो उद्देश्य था कि अगर कोई 18 देता है तो पहले 18 देता था बिना इनपुट क्रेडिट के, अब उसको इनपुट क्रेडिट मिलेगा। जैसा मैंने वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में बताया, पहले 7% या 11% तक देते थे, अब 12 देंगे, लेकिन सीमेंट और स्टील और इन सब का जो 28% टैक्स दिया हुआ है उसका इनपुट क्रेडिट मिलेगा। तो एक्चुअल इंसिडेंस ऑन कस्टमर विल गो डाउन। I can't hear.
So you mentioned about the ITC mechanism so that consumers do get the benefit of lower, tax incidence. But the new mechanism, as in how GST rolls out, will take time to settle down. So in the meanwhile, how do we ensure that this benefit is actually passed on?
Well, the dealers will have to ensure. They can't charge the customer tax more than what they are paying. The law has provisions to take care of that.
जेटली जी, आप जब मैं श्रीनगर से जम्मू कश्मीर पे विजिट करता हूँ सर, श्रीनगर में आज जो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स एसोसिएशन है उन्होंने आज प्रदर्शन भी किया और जीएसटी का उन्हें विरोध भी किया। क्या इस पे जीएसटी में जम्मू कश्मीर रिलेटेड कुछ स्पेशल प्रावधान होंगे ताकि यहाँ की जनता, यहाँ की सब्सिडी जो यहाँ की है क्या वो कंटिन्यू रहेगी या उससे वाइव किया जाएगा?
देखिए, जीएसटी का सब्सिडी से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है। जम्मू कश्मीर की असेंबली को पूरा अधिकार है जीएसटी के बारे में अपना निर्णय ले, और जो लोग चाहते हैं कि यहां लागू न हो, उनकी नासमझी का यह असर होगा कि यहां के कंज्यूमर्स को डबल टैक्स देना पड़ेगा। पहले इनपुट्स पे देना पड़ेगा और फिर फाइनल प्रोडक्ट पे देना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अगर जीएसटी लागू नहीं होता तो उनको इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा। तो जीएसटी ना लागू हो, यहां के आम आवाम के खिलाफ ये आवाज है।
Mr. Jaitley, you went to line of control today. What's the update from there? And also there have been reported incursions and face-offs in actual line of control in Ladakh from the Chinese army. So what is the situation there, sir?
Well, I've not checked up the facts because I was in this meeting, but I did visit the line of control. I acted with the officials and the jawans there. Well, it's very clear that terrorism and militancy is aimed both against the Indian state, its sovereignty, and also against the people of Jammu and Kashmir. The effect of their actions is that besides security personnel, it's the local citizens who are losing their life. And therefore, those who've taken on to violence of this magnitude will certainly be accountable for their actions.
So adding on to that question, because in fact, as you say, that there are those who are spreading unrest in the valley. Today only, India Today's one of our teams has been attacked when we actually went to question one of the separatist leaders for the sting operation that we have done. And the response from the central government on your level of engagement with the state government, you've had meetings with Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister as well on this.
Well, I think what was known already in informed circles has only been proved by a report. So it was known that they were being funded from across the border. They were funded to create unrest. They were funded to burn schools. They were funded to kill people and destroy public property. So their actions were a conspiracy against not only, as I said, the Indian state, but also the average resident of Kashmir Valley. So this was all being talked about. And what your report has done is to almost bring out a confessional statement of the concerned players accepting it. And I'm sure the concerned agencies of the government will take whatever action is needed in this matter.
Sir, quick follow-up question on that, sir. Yesterday, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister has also spoken to us. She said that there are separatists who are being funded and spreading terror in the valley, and there would be a rethink on engagement with them. Sir, is it now time to withdraw that line between a good separatist or bad separatist?
You see, I've told some of your colleagues today, and I don't mind repeating it. With an average citizen, irrespective of his political views, we'd like him to be on the Indian side in this debate. But as far as those who are killing people, we can't extend the same facility to them. They'll have to be treated as a serious insurgency problem and have to be dealt with accordingly.
Mr. Jaitley, when we see the other Kashmir, there is a big project coming up there in the form of CPEC, and which is going to change the fortunes of the entire region. What does New Delhi have in store? Does it have anything like making Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir a South?
Well, I can tell you.
Is also talking about.
I can tell you, economic development of the state is certainly our priority. But let nobody be envious of what happens across the border. There are examples in history where people enter in the name of connectivity and then establish a strategic presence.
Yes, sir. You talked about economic prosperity of J&K being the priority of central government. In the agenda of alliance between PDP and BJP, there is a mention of return of at least 2 power projects to the state, which will give flip to the state economy. But for the past 3 years, we haven't witnessed any progress on this issue.
Well, I am sure the state government and the Ministry of Power are interacting on those issues.
Currently, as far as mobile services, and in that service, mobile bills, we are charged 15%, but now the slab is 18%. So for a customer, won't it become expensive?
Madam, I have repeatedly said, this 18% will give you the input credits, which originally in that 15% you were not getting. And therefore the effective rate of taxation will be different from that. You have to reduce the tariff.
Just wanted to clarify on that. Then will it not fall outside the slab of GST, like 12 or 18%?
No, this 18% is the rate the input credit brings down the incidence of tax. So they have to reduce the tariff. They will have to reduce the tariff by 3% and charge 3% tax.
Mr. Finance Minister, here's a question from me. Do you think whatever has been happening in Kashmir Valley is all terrorism? There are aspirations. Don't you think there are aspirations, there are sentiments that need to be addressed?
Well, there are sentiments of people in every state in the country. And those sentiments will have to be addressed. But at the end of the day, the current situation emerges because when you take to violence, when you take to arms, and you start killing security forces or your own people, then you unleash a cycle which doesn't stop. So really the aspirations will have to be addressed, but addressed when the state is in a peaceful format. You can't have the energy of the state involved in just combating violence at various places. The resources which are meant for the economic development of the people are today being used essentially for security. And who is to be blamed for unleashing that era of violence?
On 9th April, a civilian was used as human shield by army. Would Army and Defence Ministry cooperate with separate investigation carried out by Jammu and Kashmir Police?
Well, they are already carrying out an investigation. Let us not forget that the army is a responsible institution, and the army was also interested in saving the lives of various people who were both involved in the election process as also the large crowd of protesters who had gathered there.